Okay, so now that we know that there is what's called a hardship program, that's the big secret. Well, how do you get there? How do you get a hardship? Do you just call the bank and say, "Hey, bank, I owe you $20,000, and I got a divorce. I don't want to pay you." Well, it doesn't quite work that way. This is the way it works. Listen carefully. The only weapons that the bank has to force you to pay are, first, your credit score. Okay, so when you miss a payment, they report your credit score. You miss two, they report your credit score. So your credit rating, your FICO, your Fair Isaac score, goes down, which means that the next time you go to borrow money, or they're going to look at your FICO and say, well, last time somebody let you borrow money, you didn't pay. So the first weapon the bank has is your FICO score. Your score starts going down. Miss one payment, 2, 3, 4. So that's the tool that everybody uses first. So you miss a payment, you miss two, you miss three. Once the bank sees that you've missed 3 or 4 payments, right? It's that 3 to 4 payment, that 90-day, 120-day, they start getting nervous because they know now that they've already dinged your credit pretty good. Now they have to make a decision on your account. They either need to assign it to a collection agency to chase it, to start applying pressure to you because you've obviously made it through that first 30, 60, 90-day gauntlet of harassment, right? Pay us, we're going to sue you, we're going to whatever that they say. They're sending letters and they're basically harassing you, calling you. So once they get that 3-4 month model of lateness, I call it a model because it's all textbook. Remember, they don't settle with you because you're tall or you're good looking. They go to it and they look at your FICO score before you defaulted. They look at your credit history and then they decide whether they're going to assign it to a collection agency or outright sell the debt. That's correct. You heard me correct. They will sell your debt, your account, that $20,000 or $50,000 or $5,000, whatever you owe them. They will sell it bundled with a bunch of other consumers that have the similar situation, same age debt, same type of debt that's delinquent, and they sell it to what's called a debt buyer. A debt buyer is a whole other industry that just buys debt from banks and issuers. So they either have to, they ding your credit, they ding your credit, they ding your credit. Then they say, okay, wait a minute, what are we going to do? All right, this guy owns a house, looks like he's owned it for a while. This guy owns this, that. He's worked at the same job for 10 years. Let's assign it to a collection agency. Well, when they assign it to a collection agency, that's going to cost them about 25 cents on the dollar. So right when they make that decision, they're only looking at collecting 75 cents. That's if the collection agency is successful, and hopefully within a couple months. Because at month 6, they have to write it off. Okay, so that's called, they have to charge off that debt. That your account, becomes what's called a non-performing asset to the bank. So the bank can't keep all this money on their books like, oh yeah, we've got all that money coming in, right? We all know about the banks, and we talked about that in one of our other videos, how badly hurt the banks are. So you're not special in being behind your credit card bills. The banks can't make their businesses work either, so don't feel bad. But back to how it works. So at month 6, they have to write off. So at month 4 and 5, that's really the key time to try and get a settlement for you, the consumer. Well, how do you do that? Well, what happens is once you know you've got a hardship, once you know you can't pay your bills, once you know your credit score is going to be shot, once you know you're going to be harassed, well, once you get 3-4 months back, you're in a pretty deep hole. You have to make decisions, business decisions. It's not what your favorite color is or whether you want to, eat peanut butter and jelly or top ramen or filet mignon. You have to make a decision that says, do I want to file for bankruptcy and start fresh there? Or do I want to try and settle? Pay them something, pay them everything I can, what I can afford. Or do I want to just keep going and wish it to fruition? So we recommend settlement. Settlement is a win-win. Because what settlement does is, at the end of a settlement, your account gets marked paid as agreed or paid in full. That's the holy grail of debt settlement. That's what we're going for. Anyway, back to how it works in months 1 through 6.